The Texans defeated the Tennessee Titans 34-17 on Monday Night Football, and the Texans have now won their 8th consecutive game, which is a new franchise record. And in fact, the Texans winning 8 games in a row after an 0-3 start is also an NFL record. So the Texans are breaking records out here. Now, before we really get into the game, I kind of want to talk about some little trends, I guess you can say. For the longest time, the Texans have been known, or at least by us, as a team that chokes in prime time. The Texans this season 3-0 in prime time. In the Deshaun Watson era, 4-1 in prime time. That one loss against the Chiefs in the game where J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless got hurt in the first drive. That game was a 1-possession game loss. So now that you know that, I have a question for you guys. Answer this down below in the comments. Are the Texans' primetime woes over now that we have Deshaun Watson? Or is it still kind of too early to call off? Or are the Texans officially not a team that crumbles under the lights? Anyways, answer that down below in the comments, and let's get into this game. At the start, I'm pretty sure you guys were thinking what I was thinking. Pretty much, damn, what the hell? We started off 10-0. I mean, to be fair, their first field goal, or their only field goal, came off of a bad pass interference call on Justin Reed. Justin Reed should have really had a pick on that play, but he dropped an easy pick. But again, it would have been negated by a bad pass interference call. The Titans scored a field goal on that one. Texans went 3-and-out, I believe, the following drive. And then the Titans have a huge, I think it was a 61-yard touchdown pass. It was a little small dump-off pass that Jonah Smith kind of took all the way due to bad coverage by Tyrann Mathieu. After that, it was all Texans from there. Literally all Texans. Offensive line kind of had an up and down game in the passing game, but in the run game, in the first half, they dominated the line of scrimmage. They just dominated it. Like, there is no other word for it. The Titans stood no chance. Lamar Miller, that 97-yard touchdown run, my God, Lamar Miller just took over the game in the first half. He was straight up dominating. The way Lamar Miller played today, actually, in fact, the way Lamar Miller has played in recent weeks, I'd say 4 out of the last 5 weeks, with that one exception being the Denver game, the way Lamar Miller has played in those 4 games, Lamar has been balling out. And I think he deserves more credit. The way Lamar Miller has looked in those 4 games is kind of why we brought him in. He was supposed to be this explosive runner, this guy that can bust out with a long run here and there. He's supposed to be that type of guy, and up until this season, he hadn't really been that guy. And it's good to really see him explode on national television twice, because remember, he had a huge run against Miami Thursday Night Football. What was it, week 7, 8, around there? So it's good to see Lamar Miller finally doing good. We're finally getting what we paid for. And the wide receivers, I thought, played a pretty damn good game. Demaryius Thomas got 2 touchdowns. Didn't really have many yards, but he came up big in the red zone, which is where we've really needed help. DeAndre Hopkins was DeAndre Hopkins, doing a good job. Had a beautiful sideline catch to set up a field goal late, or to end the half. You had Kiki exited the game with a hamstring injury, but DeAndre Carter came in and did a pretty good job late in the 4th quarter when they were trying to put the game away. So I'd say the receivers had a pretty good game. Running back had a good game. Lamar Miller, even Alfred Blue had a pretty good game. Was kind of grinding out the game, giving Lamar Miller some breathers. Deshaun Watson played a good game as well. He was under pressure for little bits and parts of the game, but for the most part, I thought he had a good game. He ran the ball. Of course, he had that read option touchdown. He had, I think it was like a 30-yard run late in the fourth quarter just to end the game pretty much. A play after that, or a couple plays after that, he had the touchdown pass to Demaryius Thomas. Defense, of course, he had those two blown coverages, one by Tyrann Mathieu, one by Jonathan Joseph, and I guess Andre Howe took a bad angle on the tackle, letting Corey Davis score a long touchdown. But other than that, the defense played a good game. Marcus Mariota, yes, he did have a career day on the Texans, I guess you could say, but for the most part, those yards, they were mostly empty yards that didn't really matter. I mean, literally 100 of them came off 2 plays. Mike Vrabel did some Mike Vrabel stuff. He had the ball deep in Texans territory. I want to say at the 5, 4th and 1. He hands it off to the tight end on 4th down. And the tight end doesn't convert. Very next play, the Texans hand it off to Lamar Miller. And boom, the Texans are up 21-10. And that's where the game pretty much ends after that. 3 guys you really have to talk about on the Texans defense. Watt, he had a bunch of tackles. I believe a sack and a half, a forced fumble. Watt was vintage Watt today. He was. Christian Covington, I believe he had 2.5 sacks. He was dominant, downright dominant. Merciless, I believe, had another 2 sacks. The Texans front 7 really dominated this game, and Zach Cunningham, you guys saw it. These past 2 games, Denver and Washington, they were getting a lot of plays on the outside on us. Today, in the very first drive, Cunningham kinda made his presence felt. He let the Titans know that those whole little outside passes to your running backs, that wasn't gonna work today. It might have worked on the Texans against Denver and against Washington, but guess what? Cunningham wasn't playing those games, so today we saw why Cunningham is important to this Texans defense. Cunningham was also a part of the play where the Texans stopped the Titans on 4th down. And I really feel like that 4th down play kind of just drained the Titans from all their energy. Now, the Texans did a fantastic job today. So happy. I wasn't really that stressed out like in other games. I mean, there was a few little points. Obviously, the 10-0 start, and then after JJ blew that coverage with Corey Davis, I was a little nervous there, but Deshaun Watson kind of, did some Deshaun Watson-y things to calm me down. Now, the Titans, where do they go from here? Personally, I think they're done. I do not know what's going on in Tennessee, but your quarterback completed 23 for 24 passes for 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, and you only put up 17 points on the board. I really do not know what's going on in Tennessee. I don't think Mariota's a problem. I think the personnel around him is a problem. I think Mike Vrabel tries too hard to be aggressive at times. Honestly, he probably could have won an extra game against the Chargers if he wasn't too aggressive. And he would have had a chance today if he kicks a damn field goal. So I think Mike Vrabel needs to tone it down a bit in aggressiveness. I don't think LaFleur is the offensive coordinator for the Titans. I really don't. I mean, the guy's never done anything in the NFL, so it's kind of one of those signings or hirings, I guess you could say. So I think Tennessee's done. Even though they're 5-6, they're still technically in the wild card race, but personally, I think they're done. The Texans, where do they go from here? The Texans play a very hot Cleveland team next week, and yes, it's important for the Texans not to overlook their opponent. Yes, I understand. It's Cleveland. Ha 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 ha. The Browns suck. Ha ha ha. Wrong. This Browns team is different. Baker Mayfield is playing lights out. They have weapons all over their offense. Their defense is stingy. So, the Texans better be careful. They better prepare, because if they don't, this Cleveland team could catch them by surprise. It's important that the Texans keep the Indianapolis Colts at arm's length away. They cannot afford to lose to Cleveland. If the Texans win against Cleveland, the game against Indianapolis here in Houston becomes the AFC South championship game for the Texans. If the Texans win these next two games, the Texans are AFC South champions. So it's important for the Texans to stay humble and, keep the streak going. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.